Joe, what do you have for us today?
Well, one of the things, Ray, that a lot of people are asking me about is this situation with the training program and the young kid, the 16-year-old kid in New York State, who died when he was hit in the head by a utility pole that was being used for a strength training program. Have you guys talked about that story?
No, not yet.
Yeah, so this happened just at the near the end of last week in upstate New York, and the team, for part of their strength training and team building, was using a technique that they had seen before with the Navy SEALs, and trying to use it for their high school team to again, team build and strengthen after they'd been in the weight room, where 6 of them were carrying these 12-foot poles, utility pole, overhead as a training tool. And they described actually in some detail they'd have a 7th person in case somebody got tired and whatever. But as things happen and accidents happen, and I'm not trying to point a finger anywhere here today about that part of it, but the pole slipped, crushing the head of a kid with a significant head injury, and by the time they got him to the hospital and shortly thereafter, he passed away last week. So the point I want to make is strength training really has evolved a lot, definitely in the college setting, but it's definitely worked its way into the high school and junior high school setting. You know that for sure as the parent of a high school athlete, is strength training has become a very important part of building young athletes. And in the high school setting, one thing that I did want to let parents know is there are people that are certified in this, and they really are kind of your go-to person. If you're going to go to a facility where your kid is going to work out away from the high school, or even in the high school setting, you might ask about whether they are a certified strength coach. The certification is called CSCS, Certified Strength and Conditioning Specialist, and there's special testing that people have to take for this. And we're seeing them a lot more in the high school setting, Ray. We've seen them for a long time in the college setting, but many times it'll be athletic trainers who go back to get further training, or teachers and gym teachers and others who will go back to get more training, or even coaches in some setting. And some high schools now have the wherewithal of hiring a strength coach for their school as kind of another coach with a coaching stipend. And I'm seeing that more and more in high schools. Almost never saw it 5 years ago. Now I'd say maybe 1 in 3 or 4 teams have, or high schools have coaches. Part of the reason is training programs and strength programs are individualized for certain sports. So nowadays we know the literature shows, I hate to always say that to you, but the research shows you don't train a baseball player exactly the same as you do a football player, exactly the same as you do a swimmer. Everybody has unique swimming programs as a team, and even beyond that, as you see all the different people in a high school and junior high setting, kids need to be trained individually different. There are some kids that are still in the growth process and they're not ready to be on a heavy strengthening program. There's other kids that, they've precocious kids who grew early on and they're ready for more strength. There's other kids that need more flexibility as a part of their program. And the key person in the high school, and the key person that parents should ask and seek out is in the school, is there somebody who's in charge of the strength training? Is that person trained a little bit more than the average coach in strength training? Do they possibly even have a CSCS, a Certified Strength Conditioning certification? And then certainly if you're going out to one of the facilities in the area, for a soccer team or a baseball team, and they say they have a strength coach, asking more questions is really a fair and reasonable thing for parents to do.
Yeah, there's different levels for everyone, isn't there, Joe?
Yeah, there certainly are, and individualized programs are good. And remember one other thing is these programs should be somewhat different for our female athletes, and so you need to know the nuances of that. Somewhat different for our junior high athletes, and in the junior high athletes, they need a lot more supervision. They're not the ones below ninth grade to just say go in the weight room and start hitting the weights. They need to be one-on-one with a strength coach. So in a lot of situations, there's really a possibility of injury with a lot of these kids, And a lot of the techniques have been tested. There's good research, but the people that are going to know the research are usually the certified strength coaches.
Great stuff, Joe. Good education for everyone listening this morning. Thanks for the time, my friend. I'll catch up with you next week.
Thanks, Ray. I know I'm going to see you around town soon, so I'm looking forward to it. Thanks.
There you go. Dr. Joe Congeni, Sports Medicine Center at Akron Children's Hospital.